Yeah. All right. So we are recording and we are live and we are on conversation 42 with Stay Wild Child. So welcome, you guys. We do this conversation every Monday at noon Central Standard Time. I am considering a few different things. I'm considering possibly live streaming this to Instagram. That's just one of those little technical things that I have to figure out. And when I do those kinds of things, I have to be in the headspace of, okay, I'm going down a technical path. Are we ready to go? I just got to get in the right headspace. And then the other thing that I was considering is possibly changing the time of our broadcast. So we do this on every Monday at noon Central Standard Time right now. And it is really, honestly, just kind of so you can get your week started right, especially if you're in the US. It's just a lunchtime chat to give you just kind of some good juju to kind of get your week going the right way. I know, so my guest today is Rebecca, and she is not Central Standard Time. Where are you joining us live from today, Rebecca?
From England. I'm actually, where I am at the moment is actually near Avebury Stones. It's kind of like Stonehenge, but a smaller version. So I'm quite near there. So I'm hoping I'll get all that power coming through and through to you. So.
Absolutely. I think I'm familiar with that. Say the name of that one more time, the location.
Avebury.
Okay. Yes. Yeah. I think I am familiar with that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today on Conversations.
Thank you. Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So guys, Rebecca is owner of the Alignment Room, and we met through the Quantum Revolution Tour. We met a couple of years ago in Miami, and you were in Miami, weren't you?
Yeah, I remember giving you a hug, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. I'm saying we met in Miami, and I'm pretty positive that's right. But yeah we met in Miami with the Quantum Revolution Tour. And I think that's just really been expansive for so many of the guests that I've had on Conversations with Stay Wild Child. It's just been such a beautiful journey. But Rebecca, how I like to really start the show is I like to kind of go back. So, a lot of times, we're moving forward, right? You're moving forward in your alignment room. I'm moving forward with Conversations with Stay Wild Child and some other things. And, a lot of times, they can say, oh, okay, well, they've always kind of had that gift, or that's just a natural ability of theirs, or, just kind of comes to them. Whereas, it takes a lot of practice for me, honestly, to get into this space. It's just been a accumulation of things of, getting my mind right, and so many different things that kind of go into it. But, we have these society norms about what marriage looks like, what being a woman looks like, what being a mother looks like, which, all of those things, we have these norms. And so kind of where were you really before maybe you started breaking up with those programs, breaking up with those beliefs? What did your life look like before you stepped into Rebecca, who has the Alignment Room? Where were you before that?
Well, yeah, exactly as you said. I'd gotten married, and well, if we go back to the very beginning, I always knew that I was slightly different from everyone. I remember from a very early age, actually, kind of looking at my arms and going, oh, I'm in a body, and just being so just excited that I'm actually in a body.
Oh, wow.
And so that was probably, even before I could speak, I had that knowing. But then you forget, don't you, as you go on.
Right.
And then I lost my mum at the age of 6. And I think that even to this day, I still have occasional things come up, and I'm have to remember who I am again. And so I lost my mum at 6, and then I lost my dad at 22. And after I lost my dad, I was like, I need to do something. I just felt so helpless just watching both of them suffer. Both of them went through a horrible illness, like cancer and tumors and things. And I felt like I couldn't do anything. And my auntie came back from this course once, and she'd done something called jure, which was healing with your hands. It's a Japanese type of healing.
Nice. Okay.
And so it's kind of like Reiki, but without the symbols. That's how I describe it.
Sure.
And so then I learned how to do that through my auntie, and I felt like I had power again, and I could actually help anybody if anyone was in need. And I was in that position again where I might lose somebody I loved. Eventually, I realized that that was a pattern that I needed to heal. And I needed to go into that feeling of like, I'm going to lose everybody I love. I can't love anyone. I'm not safe to love everyone because I'm going to lose them if I give my heart fully to them. And only recently have I actually changed that program. And we just, it's a constant unpicking, I think, of programs that you were taught when you were little. And it could be through anything. It doesn't have to be as extreme as like losing somebody you love like that, but it could even just be how you were spoken to or how you were treated. That's enough to give you the PTSD. I think we all have it.
Right.
And if we don't, then they're Buddha. Somebody must be Buddha out there.
Yes. Yeah.
But,
so you so through this grief that that you endured as a young person, and my husband, he lost his mom, and it was extremely it changed him, and he lost a lot of friends around that time. So I think that he carried that trauma with him for quite a while as well. Yeah, that grief program, it can really it can really shift you. What are some of the things that you have done that you think that have kind of finally opened your eyes to realizing? Did somebody tell you that this is a program that I can't step into love fully because I'm so afraid of losing them? Or was this an intuitive piece that you knew, or did you uncover it? How did you uncover that?
So I think I did it myself, but I was doing it the Vision Quest with Jessica Rolstrom at the time. And I guess it was a case of just looking at all my patterns, looking at what had been showing up for me, and going, right, that keeps happening. I'm not allowed to love somebody fully because of that pattern, because I feel like I'm going to lose them. I'm scared. I'm unsafe. And I knew that I had sacral and root issues in my body.
Right.
And so it was a case of tapping into those root issues and like the sacral as well, and allowing myself to feel in that area, which I didn't realize I hadn't let myself feel all of my life. And it's only been since 2020 that I've actually dipped into that level of my body and allowed myself to really feel it. 2020 has been amazing for me.
Yes, for me too, girl. I just got chills all over my body when you just said that. So,
Oh, but yeah, 2020, back in March of 2020, when it all started, I had a bit of a Kundalini awakening, but it came from having a bath. I was in the bath, and I managed to get myself to a place where I was allowing to breathe into my sacral area. And then I had a massive flashback to when I was in Atlantis as a high priestess.
Oh.
And it was amazing because I saw I saw this massive wall of water coming towards me, and just thinking, I've messed up, basically. I haven't done it. I failed. I took myself to that place where I failed completely as a high priestess at that time. And I felt all of those feelings and all of that grief that I had felt in that lifetime. And then understood that actually from this point, I'm supposed to get that information and take it to here now and then use that information to move forward from here. So it's almost like that was the first part of the life in that time frame, and now from this life I'm carrying it on. So
Right.
that was just mind-blowing. And I had, I think, about 3 or 4 days of complete and utter bliss feeling just all through my body, and just the knowingness that, like, I just knew everything. I knew everything. I knew how everything worked. And I was working very closely with my spirit guides as well. I've got a very good team behind me.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just awesome, like having that collective knowledge to just
Yes.
download whenever I need it.
Yes.
So I'm so thankful for them and for what they show me as well.
So talk about this Kundalini experience you had in your bathtub. It's interesting because many of my aha moments, they come almost just as soon as I'm getting out of the bathtub. I guess it's the water, and it's, for me, I'm always setting an intention when I draw a bath, and I'm always, planning on something happening. Unless, I'll be honest, every once in a while I'm on my phone and,
I love it.
not being intentional about it. So
Yeah.
I let that old humanist phone addiction take over. And
I love it. Yeah.
So it does.
We are multidimensional beings after all, aren't we?
Right. So how did you, I'm assuming you probably didn't say, hey, I'm going to have this, major, but what was your setup leading up to that?
Leading up to the Kundalini awakening.
Yeah.
I've been doing some Kundalini exercises and Qigong and things.
Yes.
So that kind of got me to a place where my body was ready for it. Also, right. I did this thing with Ligaya Garza. She does this dance. Yes. She does like this dance yoga type thing which opens the sacral chakra. And I did the whole process, and I got to the end of it, and I just broke down in tears at the very end. And because we were just doing a debrief, and then it was like I hadn't let myself feel into like my sacral chakra, and just opening up that channel just meant that the Kundalini can just go up and down, like the energy goes up and down your spine, like, from your crown down to your root. That's how it works. So if there's the channel there and it's free flowing, it just comes, and you just need to be clear. Once you've cleared all your blockages that are in your body and you've brought yourself into a perfect alignment, it's like then this magic happens if you do like Kundalini processes. Also Zoe as well. Zoe was brilliant. She did a Kundalini. Yes. She did a Kundalini like light language activation on me as well.
Yes. And
I think that might have helped. I can't remember when she did that on me, but I know I felt a lot with that as well. So I think it's just been a collective of lots of different things.
Sure.
And like other people as well, like practicing light language on me, it just really brought me into that place of complete perfect alignment. And it was beautiful, just beautiful. I know it was constructed by my spirit guide. So although it was all these people, it was like completely mapped out for me, every single process.
I've actually not had an experience like that. I've felt, a handful of times during meditations that, I've gone somewhere and I've seen some things, and I've definitely had a knowing and a feeling, but you're essentially accessing your Akashic records by doing that. Yes. Yeah. I have not had that. Now, Sarah Freeland, she was on Conversations with Stay Wild Child, I can't remember how long ago, but a while back. And she is actually going through some Akashic record training. And so I'm going to do an Akashic record reading with her. But
Cool.
myself, I haven't ever had like what do you call it? An awakening.
Yeah, an awakening.
Like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because it's very sudden, and I think you do have to be doing like Kundalini yoga or something, and doing all like the mantras and things to really get yourself into alignment to access that. But if you're not prepared for it, then your body won't allow it,
Right,
and your guides won't allow it, and it's like there's always going to be something. And to the spirit guides, time is nothing. They like time doesn't really exist, so they're just like, you're not ready, and that's it.
right.
End of. So funny.
Yes. So hopefully my stomach is growling. I usually have a shake before I jumped on, so hopefully the microphone doesn't pick that up. But I'm like, hello. Hello, Belly. Nice you're here. So let's talk a little bit about 2020 for you. And you said it's been one of the best years for you. So you had, okay.
Sorry to interrupt. No. But yeah, it's funny because you say best years, but like it's been dramatic. It's been a roller coaster. So it's been progressive from a spiritual point of view.
Correct.
My spirit guides are having a party. They're saying, "Way, she's done really good."
Yes.
But for me, oh my God, it was literally on a roller coaster, holding on for dear life, going, "Oh my God, when's this gonna end?"
Right.
But yeah, like, where do I start? Probably, well, in October, my son went into hospital, and he had a burst appendix.
Oh, goodness.
But that situation was identical to my father's. And my dad died from bowel cancer, but it originally started off as appendicitis. So his appendix burst, and well, he was up. I remember him being upstairs in our house, and I could hear him going, "Oh, like that." And I was just shouting up to him, "Dad, can we get an ambulance? We've got to get an ambulance. I'm going to call it now." And he said, "No, you're not to call an ambulance. I've called the doctor. Just wait. The doctor can decide." And I said, "But you're in so much pain. That's awful. We have to do something." And he was like, "No, don't do anything." And so I left it. And then the doctor came. The doctor said that it was a stomach ache, like just a gastroenteritis, basically, and to wait till it calms down, wait for it to go. But in the end, his appendix burst, and he had a tumor on his appendix, which then attached itself to the bowel, which caused his bowel cancer, and he died. And with James, my son, he was told by the doctor, first of all, it's gastroenteritis. This was after a week of him being sick, having diarrhea, not eating anything, not even keeping fluids down. The doctor said gastroenteritis. So we went away, and they said to call back on Friday. This was Monday. On Wednesday, I brought him back into the doctors, and I said, "I'm not happy with this. I want him to be seen again." So we saw another doctor. She said, might be, what do you think it is? She asked me, like, what do you think it is?
Oh.
Yeah. And I was like, maybe appendicitis? Possibly.
Right.
And then I took him into A&E, because she was like, well, you can take him into A&E if you want. Took him into A&E, and as soon as he was there, they were like, yes, it's appendicitis, get in, we're getting appendix out.
Right.
And if we hadn't have got him in at that moment, then his appendix would have burst even more and gone all over his stomach, and causing so much more stress, and well, he could have died. Right. So to have caught it on time, it's almost like 20 years before, with what happened with my dad, actually saved my son. this
Yeah.
year.
So you wouldn't settle for just the bad stomach ache. Oh my gosh.
No,
Wow.
no. So I'm so thankful in some ways that like my dad showed me what I needed to correct. It was like
He was
we
giving you a
were
message.
moving forward. Yeah, and we were changing the pattern. So
Right.
it was an ancestral pattern
Yes.
that needed to be cleansed, needed to be cleared. And so by saving my son, I've cleared that.
Yeah.
So he was in for 2 weeks and he had to have a second operation as well because he had an ulcer. So that had to be drained. Got rid of that and he is now back to normal, thank God.
Oh, wow, what a blessing. I know that must have been really scary for you. It's so interesting when you're going through these things, and then you can see when they do end up shifting to where it's, you know, the best possible outcome for you and breaking that pattern. It's hard though when you're in the mire of it. Do you feel like because of the work that you've been doing and the steps that you've been taking and the listening to your guides, do you feel, were you panicked, or were you like, okay, like, let's do this. I'm intuitively moving through this, and I'm sure there was still some fear, but was it more of a just explain to me what kind of feelings were you having during that time?
Yeah, I think because it was so similar to my dad's situation and I was so much more aware, I saw it for what it was really. And it's a lesson. It's a lesson for us all to learn. And that's why we're here on this earth, to go through these, to play these situations and scenarios out in order to heal. And so I could see the beauty in it. Although, like, oh my God, I had to go through the feeling of it all. And I can remember being outside and talking to my friend saying, I can't cope with this, you know, crying my eyes out to her. And she was like, breathe, you got this.
Yeah.
And so I centered myself, and then I went back in there and I was there for my son. But I had to have those moments. You do, you're human.
Right.
Like,
you're human.
You've got to feel, you've really got to feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I just allowed it. And I said, I know that the Spirit's got my back in this. And I know, like, the intuition, like, you just really have to listen to your body. If something's not right, you have to say, it's not right, you know, or you have to say, is that my fear? Because sometimes fear can just, like, completely take over. And then you just want to go and hide in a corner and just, don't look at me. But you say, like, is it your fear, or is it, you know, because you've got to move through it?
Yeah. What a message this can be for so many, because I have seen, so not the best year 2020, the most right.
Yeah.
I get that. I've had a ton of aha moments this year myself. So I have had I don't feel like I've had any like super hard, like, nobody in my family has become extremely ill, or, you know, I would consider that a more of a challenging experience to go through. Yeah. For sure. But I've had so many this year, so much spiritual connection. When you talk about that 2020 vision of 2020, it is truly opened my eyes to so many patterns and allowed me to shift those things. This was such a simple one for me, but I was listening to an Abraham little, you know, they have Abraham Hicks. She's got those little 10-minute, I love Abraham, those little 10-minute video clips, you know, that she has. And the other morning I was going to do breath work, and I was kind of like, I just couldn't get into it. My mind was going all over the place. And I'm like, all right, so what are we going to do? Let's pop on an Abraham. So I put on my headphones and I'm like, I'll listen to a little Abraham that'll kind of, you know, get my energy up. And so popped her on, and I heard something differently than I'd heard before. And it was simply, and I'll use the example of, because I take aerial fitness. but it was, so there's this move that I do in my aerial fitness class, and it is it's a very challenging move. It's called a half back. And so basically you have this fabric crossed behind your back and you're lifting your pelvis up in the air and inverting and your legs sticking out. It's a challenge. And so I don't get it all the time. Like sometimes I can't get that move. And my intention in this aerial fitness has always been play. It's always been fun and celebration and play, because I know myself personally, I can get in the habit of beating myself up. You need to do it better, perfection. I know those tendencies run for me.
God, yeah,
so I always practice it, keeping them at bay.
Oh.
And so basically, all she was saying is when you're in creation, you want to start from the beginning every time. You don't want to pull in the failures or the judgment or you didn't do it last time, or this was a little messy, let's clean that up. You want to start from the present moment, that beginning place every time.
Yeah. And
for some reason it clicked. And I know to be in the present moment. I know not to place judgment on I know all these things, but for some reason it clicked with me. And I'm like, wow. So for my 2020, I just keep adding up all these little nuggets,
Well, it's funny you should say about that one, because I think that was within my Kundalini awakening. I had that realization that nothing can be created from something. You have to literally be in the void to create something. You need a blank canvas to create something, because if you have something on that canvas already, then you have attachment to it.
Yes.
And so that's your old beliefs, your limiting beliefs, your all the things you were told when you were little, all those things that you've told yourself when you were little.
Right.
None of them are real. They're just stories that we're telling ourselves. So once we can detach from all of those stories and just move forwards from a completely empty space, where you are nothing. You, like myself, I went to that place of I am nothing.
Yeah.
Because from nothing, I am everything. I can create everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that was one of my biggest realizations, probably from the whole hospital realization as well. That was a big moment for me. Massive. Like, we have to be in the void. Because if we have a desire, for example, where did that desire come from? Did it come from lack?
Right. Exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Because then when you create something from lack, you're going to get something that's not attractive back, or it's bittersweet.
Right.
It's never
there's always just a little, it's never exactly what you were looking for. It always has just a little bit of that. This just isn't, it just isn't quite right. Yeah. I even thought about it because I was trying to put all these analogies on it, just because you can break it down and it's just a little easier, to explain to someone who maybe isn't, the same thing for me when I started listening to Abraham, 4 or 5 years ago. It sounded like wah, 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 wah. And then, I went back to it like a year later and it was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe some of her words are making sense. And so I kept listening. Now, of course, I get everything that she's saying. But sometimes I'll share Abraham with friends and they're like, what the hell is she saying? And I'm like, okay, I was there. Okay.
Well, that is because of perspective. Because every time you up level, you see it from an ever so slightly different perspective again. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we're multidimensional beings, because we are going through this shift of seeing things from a different perspective, little by little, as if you're just turning ever so slightly like a cog.
Yeah, yes.
So once you've opened up to a certain level, you can see it. Whereas if you were at the very start, maybe you can't see it, it's not open enough. You haven't seen it from that perspective. And so Spirit is working with you to move you through those cogs. So that you can see it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I had 100, because I mean, I literally just listened to this video the other day and I was like, why did I hear this so differently? I heard it so,
Yeah.
it just, and then all of a sudden, like 6 analogies popped in my head and I'm going, like those words, like I know I've heard all of that before. How was I said like, but yeah, I just shifted enough to be able to accept it, right? To be able to bring it in.
And that just shows how well you're doing on your ascension process. Because that's showing you're upgrading yourself to that level. Yes. So yeah, well done.
Thank you. I always like to give myself a pat on the back. I mean, right, really. But yeah. I was thinking about it, especially, so I have, during this, well, I mean, I have personally not been sheltered in place. I live in Texas. We're more of a kind of, we do what we want sort of sometimes. And so we've been out, you know, being a little rebels. No, I don't have a gun, but you know, it's kind of, you know, that's what you think of, you know, the Texans with their gun. Yeah, I actually don't have one. But yeah, the cowboys. Yeah. And so I've actually done quite a bit, but I've had more time because well, I think just a lot of us have had more time. And so for me, it's been great in healing some time wounds, you know, those kinds of things. Yeah. But I have put on a little bit of weight during COVID, and I was cooking bread at the beginning. I was buying these great cookies. I've actually had a few more cocktails during COVID. I found peanut butter whiskey, something that I love. So yes, I've just delved into a little bit more of those things. And so I've noticed just a little bit of fluff on the belly. And I was thinking when Abraham was talking about that, like just thinking about like the weight loss thing, right? And so we think, or at least I have in the past, now I'm going to practice this moving forward, this new way of looking at it. But so we're like, okay, well, I'm feeling like a little fluffy, so I need to shift my pattern, you know, of food and all of that. However, I'm bringing resistance straight into what I'm wanting to accomplish. So yeah, may I lose a few pounds? Sure. But there's that resistance, right? That I would be bringing forward if I thought, well, I need to eat a salad today because I need to, you know what I mean? And so there's there's so many things. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was just going to say that's because you're taking food and you're making that something that's like play for your inner child. So your inner child saying, oh, yay, I get to create and I get to make all these beautiful things and then I get to eat them and they're so yummy and so nice. And then by saying to you, and then your ego comes in and said, but what, you're going to take them away from me? And now you're going to give me this salad? Like, what, I just chuck some green stuff in there and then it's done, you know? And it's talking to your ego and saying, yes, but we're going to be kind to ourselves now. By having this, and it's self-love. And actually I love myself so much that I'm going to create this beautiful salad with loads of avocados, tomatoes, lots of different colors, and I'm going to just enjoy it so much. Yes. One thing Cora May actually taught me is I hope she doesn't mind me telling her secret.
Oh no, she'll love it. Yeah.
She's been helping me with the whole like CBD and like losing weight, because I've lost a lot of weight this summer.
Oh, nice. Okay.
With Cora, and she said to me, what would Rebecca in 30 days time say to herself if she looked after herself properly, did her exercise, ate healthy, vibrant foods, took her CBD and her protein shakes, you know, if she did all of that, what would Rebecca say in 30 days time to herself? And I was like, she would say, hell yeah, well done, good girl. Yeah. Because you see the difference then. After those 30 days, you're looking at your ass and going, not too bad, you know? Right. But you have to put in that work, and it is dedication, it's self-love, and it's discipline. discipline, putting yourself first, saying I matter, to eat all of this, to even to like do some fasting. I love doing fasting because I'm never really hungry first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'll just have my protein shake as my breakfast, and then I'll probably start eating about 1 o'clock, and then I'll have my tea, and that's my food for the day. Yeah. And that keeps me together along with doing exercise. It keeps me in shape, and I'm happy. Like I feel like I'm looking after myself.
Right.
So my inner child's happy, my ego's happy. Yep. Everyone's happy. Me, myself, and I, we're all in alignment.
Yeah, it just brings us all together. Yes. I noticed, so Christine Freeland, Liz Martins, and Cora, they all came. I did a witchy flash mob. I don't know if you saw it or not.
Oh, I did.
But we did over Halloween, we did a witchy flash mob. And so we dressed like witches and we danced out in public. And I had a big group of girls, but they came and they stayed at my house. And we had, Christine, I didn't know what their dietary, restrictions were and all of that. And so I just bought like a lot of salad-y kind of things and some grass-fed beef and stuff like that. And so one of my wounds prior was time. Like, you don't have enough time. Like food needs to be like, cook it fast, what can you get done quick versus like putting like the love into it. So I've shifted a lot of that this time frame. I've been blessing my food and, really praying over it, and, just sending blessings in it as I'm cooking it. But I loved Christine. She really, she made this salad, and we were just kind of her sous chefs. So I'm just pulling stuff out of the refrigerator and pulling stuff out of my pantry, nuts and things like that. And she's like, putting lemon shavings on the cucumbers and the celery and the tomatoes, and then she's salting everything and just mixing it all up before she puts the lettuce in and dice. Anyhow, she was making these beautiful salads, and I'm like, you know what, that's another thing that I'm going to move forward in, because a salad tastes great if you do that, right?
Yeah.
It's not as you're not as into it if you're just like throwing some lettuce in a bowl and putting a little bit of stuff on it. But when you take that time and you're feeding your body, and your inner child's happy because it's playing in the kitchen. You're so right. Yeah, I love that.
And you're coloring. You're using all these different colors, so it's like painting, isn't it? And that's a perfect example of creating something from the void. You're creating something from nothing, and you're going, oh, can I add? And you've got that child, that like innocence. Of like, oh, what can I create? How can I make it beautiful? Because if we start bringing that innocence into everything we do, that's our key frequency. It's getting that innocence back, because a lot of us have lost it because of responsibility, because of how we were brought up. And it's finding that. That's what 2020 has actually been about, is refinding our innocence and reclaiming ourselves.
Yes. You're so right, because my mind is just kind of going back to these different moments during 2020. And I went to a friend's wedding last week, and they were playing some dance music. I was the only one dancing, and I'm thinking, come on, let loose, let's have some fun. And I had the best time, and I said to myself, you know what, I want to dance more, just free dance. And so, so I've been playing a lot of music, and I'm just dancing around the house a lot. But
I love it.
Yeah, it's being in that space of, okay, what do I want to do now? What do I want to do now? Versus, I know we get so heavy with those responsibilities. And if we can shift our perspective of this gift has been given to us to slow down and really discover what makes our heart sing.
Be a child again. Yeah, because we are all children. We are children of the sun.
Yes.
And so literally that's why we're here. We're here to experience it from a child's eyes, from creation, because we're here to create, we're here to have fun and enjoy ourselves ultimately. So we shouldn't make it heavy.
So what is, okay, so you run a group, the Alignment Room. This is your
Yeah.
business.
Mhm.
And is there anything on the agenda that you have coming up that you want to talk about? Are you courses,
Wow.
coaching?
Yeah, so I do coaching. I'm like doing that regularly. So I've also got a course that I'm going to be doing in January,
Oh.
and that is actually called Reclaiming Your Innocence.
Mm.
Because everything that I've learned this year has been preparing me for that course.
Mm.
And so now I'm getting a big push from Spirit. You got to do this. This is your time. So I can feel like my ego going, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
Sure.
But my spirit guides are like, no, this is your time. You have to step up and you have to deliver this because people are waiting for this. And I've got an outline of what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be using my 10 steps back to alignment process with that. So I'll be teaching people how to use those 10 steps to get themselves back into alignment. And also I was thinking about getting guests in as well.
Oh,
to kind of
okay.
make
Yeah.
it more of a package. So yeah, I'm quite excited for that.
Oh, I
But
love it.
it's all in the making at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be January.
Well, that is exactly what Stay Wild Child is about. I love to empower women, and I like guys too. I mean, I know that I always say women. I mean, I totally love dudes. But the group is for women. Yeah, so but I love to champion women, and it's I love to just champion them to, step into their magic and step into their power and own their badassness. And at some point, I think that I'll probably let some men at something, but this is a private group, so I'm not sure how that'll work. But I love to, so I always want to encourage women, and you especially, and everyone, just, this is a place for you to shine your light. And so always, like, when your course comes up, share it in the group. And so hopefully, the people who are ready for it are going to be the ones who take it. And so when you decide to share it, make sure that you share it and Stay Wild Child, because I think that that's really, I want women to be able to, there's enough for everyone, right? There's no competition. There's enough for everyone. And so that's why I put the conversations together. You never know when you're going to be with someone and you're going to hear that. Well, like I heard Abraham the other day, right? Like,
exactly.
It's shifted.
We're all out there for, because Spirit's actually said to me, people are actually waiting for this course now. You've got to get on it. And I've had to take it away from me. It's not even mine. This is Spirit working through me, and I have to be of service for that, for it to happen, and I have to allow myself to be the vessel.
Yeah.
In order to allow this to come out, because this has to come out. And they've given me all the tools. So it's like they're kind of going, come on now, Rebecca, your turn. Off you go.
Yeah.
I will. It's because I'm a crystal child, and so crystal children tend to be a bit more quieter and in the background and not wanting to kind of get themselves out there. But I've been doing so much work, clearing my throat chakra, clearing all, like, my sacral, my root. I'm ready.
Yeah, you are. You are ready, for sure. Yeah, you're such, every time I've been around you, you just have the good energy about you. I mean, it's just, you're one of those people that just, your aura, is like 6 feet around, and it just kind of vibes with you. You've always had that beautiful, gentle energy about you. So yes, the world is waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me on Conversations with Stay Wild Child today. I knew it would be a good conversation.
Yeah.
And I let this usually run live for a couple days in the group, and then I pop it up on YouTube. So thanks so much, love. I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you very much.
When your course gets ready, please make sure that you share it in this group. Because I know that there's a lot of people have had, I'm sure, a lot of aha moments, over 2020. And I know these next few years are going to be really important for us who just, for us that are sharing a message to just kind of reaffirm and, allow them to stay in their light. So,
yeah, I think so many people are waking up right now.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to move through all of these things that we've learned. So it's up to us to be there, to hold them, to help them through. So, and just be the light.
Exactly. I agree completely, love. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. And again, I know there's a time change difference, and I just really appreciate you. Thanks, love.
Oh, thank you, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Enjoy your day.
All right. We'll be back next week, guys. Thanks, y'all. Have a great day.